Hello beautiful people, welcome to the program once again this week, your authoritative source of housing information. It's time for another informative episode and my name is Nomso Thauma. On our lineup today, we'll hear from some stakeholders who attended the 13th Abuja International Housing Show as they speak on possible solutions to address Nigeria's housing needs. We'll also bring you superb house offers on our own home segment this week, and we'll hear Nigerians speak on what is most important to them when looking out for a house to rent. All these and much more after the news headlines. Let's hook you up with our news desk. I'll be right back. The Lagos State Ministry of Housing has put together a stakeholders forum to tackle the menace of illicit practices and fraud in the housing sector. Special Advisor to the Governor of Lagos on Housing, Toke Benson Awoshika, in a statement said it has become necessary to bring sanity to the housing industry and iron out the best way to protect members of the public from being defrauded of their hard-earned money by unprofessional agents and property developers. She explained that the demand for proper housing, which has continued to exceed available supply stock, gives room for unhindered community of fraud in the industry. She added that the government has enacted laws on housing in order to check the spread of unscrupulous elements and improve investors' confidence in the real estate business. The Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers, NISEV, has advised the federal government to invest over 50% of recovered loot to tackle housing deficit. Its vice president, Ima Wike, gave the advice because most of the recovered funds from political office holders and politicians were more of proceeds from housing-related crimes. Speaking on the side of an event commemorating World Habitat Day in Lagos, he also urged the government to make single-digit interest loan available for mortgages to curb corruption, noting that most of the corrupt-related cases had one thing or the other with housing. The federal government has approved the sum of 3.2 billion naira as a take-off grant for the proposed 16 federal science and technical colleges in some states of the federation. Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Education, Sonny Echono, who made this known in Abuja, explained that the colleges will be established in phases across the country in states that do not have the federal science and technical colleges cited in their area. The Permanent Secretary, speaking at a meeting with stakeholders in Abuja, said following the approval by the presidency, there had been ongoing efforts to ensure that the 16 colleges are established in the beneficiary states. And on the foreign scene, Facebook has given a contribution of £25 million for new affordable housing to be built for teachers. Between 90 and 120 units will be built for teachers and school employees who work in Menlo Park, East Palo Alto, Los Altos, Palo Alto and Mountain View. These are employees who may earn too much money to qualify for subsidized low-income housing, but who do not make enough to afford the skyrocketing cost of rent and mortgages in Silicon Valley. In an email made available to newsmen, quoting several Facebook executives, Facebook says they want to help teachers be able to live in the communities they serve. Those were major stories for the week. To get more, you can visit www.africahousingnews.com. You can also visit our YouTube channel at Housing TV Africa to get steady updates in housing. Now, having stable housing policies, presence of political will, and proper implementation of sustainable housing policies are some of the things that are quite fundamental to the attainment of affordable housing goals in any nation. Nigeria is still on the path to achieving the housing needs of its citizens. Let's hear from some housing stakeholders' solutions on how to move the housing sector to the next level.
there has to be strong political will. Housing must be on top of the government agenda. Housing must be given the right resources, and we as Shelter Afrique want to work with the Nigerian government on the supply side through the supporting of public-private partnerships, where government comes in with land or subsidized infrastructure, and then we come in with funding, and also developers that have the capacity to build 1,000 units of housing and more.
We need to have a policy that addresses first-time home ownership, that it's such that when you come out from university, so to speak, as happened in my days where I lived, you're able to say when you're in work, within a short time of starting in your career, you're able to own your own home. So we progressively allow people to do that. But to do that, we need to actually also prepare the ground for it. And that means we need to build houses that are suited to their needs, houses that are what they want, in locations that are suited to their lifestyles, so that they can go to work within a reasonable time. We don't need to build the houses 50, 100 kilometers away from their business location.
Moving forward, I think it is government's responsibility to provide the enabling environment and allow the private sector to play in the market. So if things like access to land, titling, infrastructure, those things are dealt with by government and made available, then private sector will come with its funds and provide the houses in a way that meets the needs of the people. There is no point providing housing that people cannot afford or that people cannot live in. It is necessary for you to provide what meets your peculiar housing environment. And housing environment changes from location to location, from people to people, depending on their economic base, the realities, so many factors affect this, and it is necessary for us to now start making housing fit, you know, for the people that require it, even across the states, because what you might need in the north might not necessarily be what you need in the south or in the west. So we need to be adaptable with our housing provision. There's nothing like one size fits all. It doesn't work.
One of the most prominent features of your house is your roof. Your roof will tell how old your building is. At Plus World, we pride ourselves in having the expertise and products to bring your roof back to life. While other roofing companies suggest removing the roof, we restore the roof with warranty assurance. Let Plus World Roofing recoat your old and fading roofs and make your roofs brand new. Our products are eco-friendly and completely harmless to human and the environment. We offer services that will sustain your roof's integrity and, by extension, your property value. This includes roof repairs and maintenance for residential, commercial, and industrial properties. Our roof restoration solution saves you up to 70% the cost of replacing your roof. Contact Plus World Roofing today. Plus World Roofing. Why re-roof when you can restore?
I'm Debbie Erb. I work for OPIC in the United States, and keep watching the Affordable Housing Development Program.
Welcome back. Still on profiling solutions that can move Nigeria's housing sector forward, here are top 10 recommendations from 13th Abuja International Housing Show 2019 as a way to push forward what we want the government to do. Upon the completion of the 13th Abuja International Housing Show, which held from 23rd to 26 July 2019, participants, speakers, developers, and heads of all housing bodies at the event agreed on a number of sustainable and important interventions that will bridge the housing gap in Nigeria. Below are selected 10 out of these resolutions that have been presented to the government and its several housing agencies for implementation. Creating enabling policies around land title documentations, with government playing a larger role in assisting investors and supporting local building industries and materials. Fast-track the passage of foreclosure bill into law to legally resolve default issues in the sector. Also, the review of Land Use Act of 1978, Federal Government Housing Loans Board Bill, the National Housing Fund Scheme Act 1992, Mortgage Banks Act 1989, subsumed in BOFIA, Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria Act 1993, the Trustee Investment Act 1962, the Nigeria Social Insurance Trusts Fund Act 1993, the Insurance Act 2002, the Investment and Security Act 1999, the Federal Housing Authority Act 1990, Securitization Bill, amongst many others. Advance the ongoing partnership between Mortgage Banking Association of Nigeria and the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, with regards to the underwriting standards which can increase housing and mortgage affordability for the masses. The adoption of high-impact training that supports research and data generation by major stakeholders within the industry. Building the right skill ecosystem through job-driven training programs spearheaded by private sector industry participation for adoption of trainees. Institutionalization of collaborations and partnerships between large-scale industry players to enhance mass housing provision and affordability. Creating standard database in African countries, especially in Nigeria, that can be universally accepted to collate data, identify data gaps, integrate, optimize, and expand knowledge set to meet current demands. Policy creation, adoption, and financing of sustainable buildings that utilize green approach in construction, which integrates topography into development. To set up an institution such as a National Housing Council to be the focal point for housing research, policy development and implementation, development of suitable housing economic models that fit into local context, and monitoring of the housing sector. To resolve the challenges of affordability mismatch resulting in unsold and unoccupied developed houses, especially in our major cities, there is an urgent need for a paradigm shift from market-driven pricing system to end-user-driven pricing to ensure houses are provided for those who need and could afford them.
I'm Leilani Farha, the UN Special Rapporteur, and I hope you'll keep watching the Housing Development Program.
We can't overemphasize the fact that without sound policies and proper implementation, housing in Nigeria cannot get to the next level. For our housing industry to attract more investors, much more needs to be done in the area of passing into law various outstanding bills in the National Assembly. For all National Assembly members that are watching this program, let's show you outstanding bills that are in the National Assembly. There are a number of outstanding bills in the National Assembly either in need of a review or introduction to facilitate rapid investment in the real estate sector, which will in turn drive the economy. Here are some of these critical policies. The passage of foreclosure bill into law to legally resolve default issues in the sector. Review of Land Use Act of 1978. Review of Federal Government Housing Loans Board Bill. Review of the National Housing Fund Scheme Act 1992. Review of Mortgage Banks Act 1989, subsumed in BOFIA. Review of Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria Act. Review of the Trustee Investment Act 1962. Review of the Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund Act 1993. Review of the Insurance Act 2002. Review of Pension Funds Act 2014. Review of the Federal Housing Authority Act 1990. Review of Real Estate Regulation and Development Bill 2018. Policy creating the National Council on Housing for Sector Regulation. Join the advocacy as professionals and stakeholders in the Nigerian housing and construction industry. This message is brought to you by Housing Development Advocacy Network.
I am Dr. Sam Ewu, Senate Committee Chairman on Housing. Keep watching Housing Development Program.
You're still on to housing development. Now everyone has the right to safe, decent and affordable housing. On our Other Home segment this week, we shall visit two housing estates. Let's start with Abubakar Sani Bello Estate, which is being developed by Happy Homes Builders. Let's see what they have got in store for home seekers. The Abubakar Sani Bello Estate, an estate which has a design for about 200 units of different categories of housing, is in its development stage by Happy Homes Builders Nigeria Limited. The site, which is located opposite Community Secondary School by Old Barracks, Suleja, Madala Road, Niger State, is fully active as it has been for some months now in a move towards completion. It has all the necessary documentation, certificate of occupancy and approved building plan. The CEO, Happy Homes Builders, Town Planner Lukman Komolafe, welcomes housing development crew to Abubakar Sani Bello Housing Estate to see how much progress has been made. Town Planner Komolafe says ongoing presently is the construction of one-bedroom bungalows, 2- and 3-bedroom flat duplexes. He says the first set of houses will be habitable by the end of the year.
Our hope is that between now and end of this year, the way we are going now, by the time we put light now, we will have put light even by now, if not because we are waiting for the 33 kV approval. Because we're supposed to use 11 kV, but we prefer that because it has constant light. As soon as we have it now, light will be there, and we believe that the first set of flats will be ready. This year, people will live there by God's grace.
He further assures that all necessary facilities will be available on completion of the estate.
It's a complete layout in the sense that it has all the components of what make estate work. If you see down there, that's not street premises, it's even built already. Anytime now they will start. It has hospital, it has common complex, it has everything. That means and it's a standard layout. Every of the building is accessed by the road, and the road will be tarred. All the culverts and all this will be made.
For the Abubakar Sani Bello Estate, installment payments are allowed for up to a year, and there is also a mortgage plan. It is a place to be for those in need of homes.
The latest couple in town.
Good day, sir.
How are you? Oh, sit down, sit down, sit down.
Thank you, sir.
Drinks?
No, we're fine, sir.
How was the moon experience?
It was quite an experience.
How about house?
We are renting at the moment, but we intend to save enough to own our own house, right?
Why not avoid all those Shylock landlords and own a house up front? The average income and cost of building houses today in Nigeria, mortgage is the best option. No sweat. I tell you what, that was how I got my first house, and I've never regretted it.
To make good homes, and by implication, a good society, an individual is expected to have an abode from which to take off and return at the end of each day. At the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, everyone deserves a home. Come join us at FMBN and let's shelter Nigeria together.
Everyone loves a good and affordable shelter. Are you in this category? Are you in Lagos or Abuja and you are in need of a house? Then Urban Shelter has got what you need. Here's a quick one from Urban Shelter Limited.
Coming to Lagos is part of the expansion plan in terms of trying to broaden our horizon and market coverage, having had almost like 47% of the market in Abuja. We currently have two-pronged approach in development in Lagos. We have the premium project going on at Oniru, just about 3 minutes walk distance to the Atlantic Beach and about 3 minutes driving distance to any hotels within the VI. It's a lovely design in terms of architecture and landscape design. It's an apartment on 6 floors. We have on 6 floors with penthouses on top. And we have tried to meet the customer need in terms of if you're an expatriate and you just need a compact apartment, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, and 3 bedroom. We have the design in terms of 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, and 3 bedroom apartment. We have also 3 bedroom and 4 bedroom paint floor on the 6th floor. And it has an overlooking view of the Atlantic City, Atlantic and the new Eco Atlantic City. The distinguishing factors in terms of our project in relation to other developers is our design. Our designs are modern designs, and we also integrate postmodern architecture into our design. The other thing that is making it very, very distinguished for us is the fact that we have understood the challenges in the demand side, which is one of which is financing. So what we have done is that we have come up with a flexible payment system, which makes it easier for you to subscribe for our project. Currently, we are adopting a model system where you can pay up to 36 months for the estate. Whichever one you are subscribing, we sit down with you, we look at your payment or your income structure. If you're a salary earner and you want to be paying back over every month, or if you're a business man that you don't earn your income monthly, we have make a quarterly payment system for you. And also in some instances, we have done half-yearly payment. So it's easier for you to make payments for your estate. Those are the things that stand us out.
My name is Dr. Mrs. Hannatu Adamu Fika. Actually, I'm a great fan of this program. Every week, I stay back and watch AIT to ensure that I listen to what they say, and I want to encourage all Nigerians to watch this program.
Welcome back. Now, on to the part of the program where we hear opinions of day-to-day Nigerians on housing matters. This week, we went asking what facility is the most important when looking to rent a house. Take a look at Voice on the Streets.
All of them counts, but location is more important because you think about security. Okay, nobody wants to live in a jungle of criminals. Then you think of other infrastructures. Access road is very important, and electricity, of course, is part of it. It's part of life. So I think all of them comes together. They cannot be they cannot be done in isolation.
These three things supposed to be there before they will start talking about renting the house at all. You see, these three things are important.
At least to be able to live, water and electricity take priority. Then the other things.
The first thing I will look is the roads, lights, and water, because Nigeria has been blessed by God. So I see no reason whereby you will go and pay a house of maybe, like in Kapusa. Kapusa village is very close here. You can get a house there at the rate of 45,000-50,000. You understand me? You can get a house there at the rate of 150-200. So you need a good road, because you can't buy a car 400,000. At the end, you go and live in Masaka where the car will be damaged because of potholes.
Any developer or any house exit who want to create a estate or anything, number one, access of road is number one. Then number two, water is life. Number three, light. That is why God say, let there be light.
This is where we bring this week's edition to a close. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube page at Housing TV Africa for more updates in the housing sector. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Housing Program. Also on Instagram, like and share our posts. My name is Nomso Thelma, and I'll see you same time next week. Do have a beautiful day.